I'm Sarah McCoy, and today I'll be talking about snakes. Now, when I was a kid, we used to have this little flower garden off the side of my porch. One day, my brother and I were going to go weed that garden, and my dog started barking and would not stop. By the end of the day, we had two conservation agents taking a big snake out from underneath our deck. It was a big rattlesnake. Ever since then, I have been terrified of snakes. We need to know what kind of snakes are dangerous and how to help those who are bitten, especially with where we live, in case anything happens. Because of that big snake, I have on and off through the years done some research of what ones are dangerous around here and how to help in case anything happens. To give you a little preview of what we're talking about today, we'll talk about how they help our ecosystem, then we'll talk about 3 different kinds of snakes, their venom, and their cure. Now, when I was a kid, I was told not to kill these snakes because they were free pest control. I was like, that's crazy, but it turned out to be true. They help keep under control the population of rodents, birds, reptiles, and other snakes. They also help with medical science. They help with heart problems, pain, strokes, deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolisms, and much more. They also make antivenom. Now, Kate Duick, in his 2022 article, How Many Snakes Are in the World, says that there are 35,000 snakes in the world. Of those, 600 are venomous, and 200 are deadly. Let's talk about some of the deadly ones. The first one is the inland taipan, the world's most venomous snake. These guys are very well camouflaged with their light brown scales and black flecks. They average about 5'10", but the longest has been 8 feet long. They are the biggest in Australia. They tend to bite repeatedly and without provocation. Their venom is potent enough to kill 200 people. It has pyridoxine in it, which is the most potent neurotoxin in the world. It attacks the nervous system and nerve tissue. It also has a spread factor, which makes it seep into the bloodstream much faster. It causes headache, nausea, breathing problems, collapse, and even paralysis. P. Brandell, of a 2023 article for the ABC News of Australia, talked about Kevin Button, who gave his life catching this snake to make the antivenom for it. This antivenom needs to be administered about 30 to 45 minutes after a bite, or it could be deadly. Now, this is the most venomous snake in the world. Let's talk about some that are more closer to home. One of these is the southern copperhead. Though it's called the southern copperhead, it lives in many other places, including Missouri. They are very intimidating looking with their triangle heads and sharp, piercing eyes. They tend to be about 2 to 4 feet long. They are also well camouflaged with their reddish-brown scales. They also have heat sensors in between their nostrils and their eyes. They tend to strike immediately when cornered. They have a hemotoxic poison which destroys red blood cells, disturbs blood clotting, and leads to organ and tissue failure. Though rarely fatal, these guys do hurt a lot. All they really need is observation in a hospital, along with antibiotics, antihistamines, anti-inflammatory medications, and fluid therapy in case of shock. Let's talk about another snake you could stumble upon in your woods, the timber rattlesnake. These guys also live in Missouri and tend to be 3 to 7 feet long, which makes them the longest venomous snake in Missouri. The rattle of these guys is made of keratin, which is the same as what your fingernails are made of. They use this rattle to ward off prey and predator. But it also has a drawback. Because the rattle is attached to the snake, it lets you know exactly where it is, so that makes humans who want to get them out of their yard much easier to find and dispose of. These guys have a hemotoxic and a neurotoxic poison, which we talked about earlier, but to recap, affects blood cells and nerve tissue. These symptoms include rapid swelling, bruising of the skin, breathing problems, heart rate change, numbness, and more. Organ failure can happen between 2 to 3 days if not treated. Now, to go back over what we talked about today, we talked about how snakes are hurtful and helpful to our society. They are crucial for our food chain and just help us with pests in our everyday lives. We talked about the inland taipan, which is in Australia, and then the southern copperhead and the timber rattlesnake, which is in your backyard. I researched these guys to help ease my pain and fear, and hopefully yours, and I'm not entirely sure if it helped or made it much, much worse. Thank you for listening.